don't have to love it. You just have to believe it. You just have to believe it's worth it in the end. Tim Grover. My guest in this episode of Passing the Torch is a former Navy SEAL and veteran who has gained recognition as a fitness expert, speaker, and mentor. He focuses on topics like leadership, mindset, and building high-functioning teams. His insights are often rooted in his experiences in the SEAL teams and his work in the CIA. Throughout his work, he incorporates his 4 pillars of success, the true definition of team: trust, effort, attitude, and mission. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my second favorite Navy SEAL of all time, the man who is a talesman, not a salesman, a subject matter expert in messing up, and whose spirit animal is, actually, I'll let him say it. Passing the torch with Ray Kashkar starts now. First and foremost, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining me, Ray. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Martin, for having me. But we have to put a pin in that. And who's your favorite Navy SEAL?
John McCaskill. I said that just to dig at you, just to kind of mess with you a little bit, because I knew I was like, it'll get a rise. I said that purely
like
just
like those officer types, you know. No, if I had a penny for it, no, he's a great guy. I wish I had something bad to say about him. He's a great leader.
No,
and I thank you for having me on,
dude. It's a pleasure. And we were talking before recording. I mean, you are just a kind man. Thank you for being a kind man, and just for your time. We had an opportunity to connect back in October in the Dallas area, but man. Again, just super impressed with what you're doing. And I follow your content. So when I saw you in the hotel gym, I was like, oh man, this is really cool. But yeah, just thank you for being an inspiration, and thank you for being kind.
I appreciate it. I tell it like it is. There's so many out there, why not just be nice? It's actually harder to be nice than it is to be. It's easy to be and treat people like we were having a conversation about someone at the football game. I won't call them out. People get starstruck, and you got to remember who you are, where you came from. And I'm nobody in that realm, but I try to treat everybody the way that I would want to be treated. I try to talk to as many people as I can.
Yeah.
Relationships, connections can be opportunity. So I also think that karma is what comes around goes around. So treat people with kindness.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But I'll also punch someone in the face real fast if they're sad. So I don't know if but I mean, average servants, double-edged sword, we protect our families and our loved ones.
Yeah.
But I don't have to clench my fist at everything, but there is a time and a place for everything, I will say.
So with all that, why is life great right now?
Well, if I had to give you just, one quick answer, it's because I'm alive. I mean, it's not the money. I'm so blessed,
Yeah.
It starts with my faith with God. I love the big man. Love you, big man. That's newer to my life. I'm a full-time prayer. I pray every night with my family. It's a non-negotiable. I have a beautiful wife I have no business being with, married way, way, way out of my
agreed.
My
I saw your wife in Dallas. And
I know. I got her tattooed on my arm.
Did she lose a bet? Did she?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened, but
I'm joking, Ray.
She's stuck with me now. I told her I want to sign a prenup that you can never divorce me. I got 2 great kids. Financially, we get by. I mean, we don't take more than we really need. We give a lot back to church and to the people that need it. I mean, hell, I recently bought my daughter's best friend a car. She didn't come from much, and I really didn't have the money to do it. But I will tell you that when you are good and you do good deeds, it makes you feel richer than when you have a wad of money in your pocket. And that didn't come to me till I was about 50. I'm 53 now. So being kind, just so you know, is a new thing to me.
Yeah.
I used to be full disclosure. I was arrogant. I was a SEAL. I was CIA. I thought my shit didn't stink. And who grounds me more than anybody is my wife. She puts me in my place. Don't let, and just as the money started coming, I was telling you I do coaching and speaking. I was just with Tim Grover. I know that quote. I hear the same thing from everybody. You're moving up. Don't let the head inflate as you go up. So I've heard that from so many influential people in my life. Starting with my wife. Tim Grover is a friend and a mentor to me. I mean, I'm on his, I call Mr. Grover and he picks up,
Yeah.
but when you're hearing things from your mentors like this, it's because it's true, or it's because they've seen it happen, or it's happened to them. A lot of I'm all about learning the lessons ahead of time. Don't do that versus look what I just did. And then someone comes in, and so I take advice.
Yeah.
I don't want opinions. I don't want opinions. I want advice because that usually means that individual has been there and done that. So that's how I base my decision making and how I do things. I ask for advice for people. I never, in my opinion, I'll be like, stop. Opinions, you've heard the expression. They're like,
Yeah. Oh,
what?
yeah.
We all have
Yeah.
one. So yeah.
So we'll get into some questions and all that, but the most important question is, before you became humble and a man of faith, um, when you walked into a bar, what did you tell people first? You were a Navy SEAL or CIA, or that you did
Back then you didn't
CrossFit?
tell it. Back then you didn't tell anybody anything.
I'm joking.
Um,
Yeah.
it's changed, but I mean, listen, I'm on the road right now. You look at Jocko, you look at Mitch Aguiar, you look at a lot of these guys. They are Navy SEALs and they're black belts,
Mhm.
right? We got a few other ones. There's a guy named Garrett, a few other bunch of guys, but there's not many that I know of. Navy SEALs, CIA, and black belts. So now I'm a blue belt now. I'm going for that. I want the triple header. I want the triple decker. I want that. And then add to it entrepreneur, then add to
Yeah.
it father, and then add to it, man of God. And just that is the real resume for me, right? Just stacking up those wins. A black belt is just levels of discipline. Being a Navy SEAL is levels of discipline. Being in the CIA is levels of discipline. Being married for 20 years, a lot of discipline sometimes. Love you, baby, but sometimes I just want to strangle her.
Yeah, for sure. The I saw when you posted the other day about buying a car for your daughter's best friend, and I was like, man, I was blown away by that, and that was
Not only did I buy her a car, but the connections that I have with the companies that I speak for, the CEO of the company wrapped my daughter's car for free. Then he turned around and he was going to wrap her car, but I bought her an older car. I paid, full disclosure, I paid $5,000 for a car. He put a $9,500 paint job on it. Now he's going to wrap it. And my point to this is when you're doing good things come back. He didn't have to do that. He did not have to do that. But he decided to do that, not only for just my daughter, but for my daughter's best friend who doesn't, and I'm not sitting here wanting to pat her on the back, but she's not as fortunate as
yeah.
most of us. She has 10 siblings. I'm just going to say she's got good parents, but they're not as supportive as I think they should be. And it was my job as a Christian to step up. And she really doesn't have a male role model in her life. And she's a good kid. She's a good kid. So I stepped up, and it's $5,000 is $5,000. It's not a lot, but at the time, I mean, you're talking to a guy that got let go from a very high paying job in July, and I'm doing this 2 or 3 months later.
Yeah.
And it's because I sat down and talked to my wife, and I said, listen, everything works itself. I've come to terms with the nicer I am, the calmer I am, the more in control I am of my emotions and everything, the more that I understand that things always tend to work themselves out. My wife is the queen of saying everything happens for a reason. And when she says it, I just want to, she's right. It will, if you just stick to the plan, and that's having morals, values, missions, and goals, you stick to them. When I drive down the road, there's some roads I drive down that have guardrails on each side, which restrict me. But there's other times, man, there's no guardrails. It's wide open. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
And you've got to know the difference. You want those guardrails on those sharp turns of life, but when it's flat open, man, let go of those guardrails and just unwind and just crush it. And that's what we're doing right now, man. I mean, I was just asked, it's funny. I was talking to John Lovell, Warrior Poet Society.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just hit me up and said, hey, will you come down and do my podcast? I'm like, hell yeah. So
Wow.
he gets to have a real life Navy SEAL hang out with a little measly Ranger. I'm kidding for those Rangers out there.
That's gonna
So we'll see.
that's gonna be in the comments, I'm sure. But
Just had the just so you know, like the amazing things that are happening in my life. I just had the Olympic water polo, men's water polo coach hit me up and just write, look, I couldn't make this up. Still working on getting you out there.
wow,
Still working on to trying to get you to these games around the team that Friday to Sunday. They're playing
wow,
Australia. I mean, and it's because, and I'm going to tell you, and again, we're going to get into this, and I'll tell you why all these amazing things are happening. Do you see the shirt that I'm wearing?
yeah, I bet on me.
This is the shirt that I wear when I go on stages. And I'm going to use Tim Grover and I'm going to throw him under the bus. We had this event and Tim Grover was going to obviously the headliner. And he only came to this event because I was coming and I said, hey, I'm going to open for you. But what had happened is the guy that was putting on the event realized that when I went on, Grover was going to be there. So he wanted Grover there longer. So he put me on 4 people ahead instead of 1 ahead. So Sean Whalen still had to go. There was just a mecca of people there. So I'm talking to him early in the morning and, he just came to stop by to say hi to everything. And I've got this suit on and he goes, he dresses like a rock star, and
Yeah,
he's like, Ray, can I ask you a question? I'm like, yes, sir. He goes, what the hell are you wearing? I'm like, I'm trying to wear a suit and look professional. He goes, that's not you. Be you, do you, right? He goes, don't you have that shirt that I love where you bet on yourself? And, he's like, you need to get up there. This is me. This is what I do. I bet on myself. You take chance, take risk. And when I honestly became fully vulnerable and opened myself to just betting on myself versus betting on everybody else, like I don't gamble. I don't gamble per se, even though we have money. My wife wants to play the lottery. I play the lottery on myself.
mhm.
I bet on me. Every morning I get up, the first thing that I say, Martin, is, man, I'm alive. When you ask me, what are you great? I'm alive, man. That's because there's people that aren't. And you ever see these amazing commercials that they put out? It's like, be grateful, not greedy, where like someone's complaining about water, but then there's a kid overseas in Africa that's got
Yeah, yeah,
it's you know, we're throwing food away. It's like when you really just take a step back and realize, be grateful for what you have and start betting on yourself. Like, I'm grateful for what I have. I want more. The only way that I'm going to achieve and accomplish more is number one, I have to have a support system around me. And that's my wife and that's my team, Jason and Bridget. And I've got a team around me. And then, but really, when you're up on that stage and all those eyes are on you, or you're coaching someone and you're changing their lives, or, all the other things I do, it's me. Even if you're my support team, like I have an amazing, Jason, I have a husband wife combo. They do everything for me. I mean, I show up and it's done.
yeah,
But when I'm up there, if I mess up, they're not going to be remembered for it. It's going to be me. Human nature is you can do 1,000 good things, you do one bad thing. Human nature is people will remember the bad thing.
yep,
They will remember the mess up. So that's why I wear this shirt. And I always carry this coin that my daughter gave me. You see all the coins I have behind me. It says you were on the back. It says you were stronger than you think.
wow,
Whenever I'm on stage, right, I have
yeah,
this in my hands
that's awesome.
every time. This thing has been with me for over 200 and I think 36 or 37 events. First
Wow,
event my daughter gave this to me. It's the only coin that isn't up there. It stays here because it goes with me everywhere I go. It's these little things about betting and believing myself, because every time I get on stage, I'm scared. I'm scared.
yeah,
I still get butterflies. So that's who I am. That's what I do. And like I said, back to the story with Tim Grover, he was just like, dude, you don't look comfortable. That's not you. Go be you. Go put on your pair of jeans, go put on your nice shoes, and go put on a t-shirt with your big, he makes fun of me, your big tattooed arms, and just go be you, and that's what I started doing. I started trying to be the best version of myself. This is what I want the audience to hear. Stop trying to be a version of someone else that's rich and famous, or they're what you want. Be the best version of you that you can be. And when I started doing that, man, like I started receiving compensation, and so whether it's approval from people, acceptance from people, monetary, just when you do good things and you just stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and about their cars. And like, I used to do that. I used to post all the cars and all this. A couple of my mentors are like, dude, sell it. You don't need it. You don't need $500,000 worth of cars in the driveway when you barely make that much money. I'm like, you're absolutely right. Got rid of everything. I listen now. That's what I used to never listen to people. I would just hear the internal voice telling me, you got to have this. You got to have fan. Dude, I got one car. My wife has a car. My daughter has a car. I want to buy another car, but there's about 12,000 other things that have to happen before I get that. And I think, I know when to be patient and I know when to attack. So I know I talk a lot, but I'm drinking a cup of coffee.
No, it's good, man. I'm loving it.
Thank Black Rifle Coffee for this one.
Yeah. No, and I've actually heard you say that in a podcast. I've listened to you on multiple podcasts, and I follow your content. So I've actually, even before you met in Dallas, I've wanted you on my podcast for a while. Like, there's a book that I have with about 150 dream guests for my podcast, and your name's been in there for because it's just an interesting, just your bio alone.
I'll be number 150. I don't give a
no. You're 151, but John McCaskill couldn't make it, so I had to like bump you. I'm joking. He was on episode, I think, 18.
Of course, Johnny was.
Yeah,
Commander McCaskill.
And I did it with a pinky up. No, that was in April. I've had my podcast for 8 years, and
wow,
that was an episode I think we recorded, I think in August of 2021. If it makes you feel better, there's a whole portion of the podcast where I asked him. We talked about mindfulness and meditation, but there's some humor too, and we talked about what actors he looks like. And I don't know if you can. Do you have a guess by chance? Because if not, I think once I say it,
no, you can tell me.
I think I said Chris Pratt at the time, and then he said he gets told he looks like Gerard Butler, and when he said that I was like that, it clicked. I was like, that's it right there. But
I think John's tooting his own horn. He don't look like Gerard Butler. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Pratt when he was fat, but not when he was lean. I'm sure I'm going to be getting a call from the commander on this one, but you know what? I'm out. Yeah, I worked for John for a little bit, so great leader. But
yeah,
Gerard Butler, you are not, sir. You are not. Like I said, Chris Pratt, when he was chunky, maybe. And I know John's in great shape, but yeah, I just who do I look like?
Ryan Gosling, obviously.
Ryan Dawson. Who's that?
Gosling. I was just. I'm just throwing names. I don't know. I can't.
I used to get, when I didn't have a beard, Christian Slater.
Yes. Oh my God, Ray. Yeah, I see it.
Get that a lot.
That's it. That's it.
And when I wear a hat, Sean Whalen and Mitch Aguiar. Mitch Aguiar looks just like my son, and Sean Whalen looks just like my brother, especially with their beards now. Like when we put a hat on, we were just at dinner together with the ladies in Florida, and people are like, "Are you guys brothers?" We're like, "No, no relation."
Christian Slater. So, that's it.
When I used to have I used to get it all the time. And my wife's, just so you know, this is not me. My wife's making me grow my hair out.
Yeah.
Not the sides, because you see all the gray that I cut out. But
yeah. You look great, man. Like in
53. I feel great.
You look great. Yeah.
Thank you. I do look great. You know what? You hear that, John McCaskill? I look great. I don't look like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I look like, that would be like me saying I look like Mike O'Hearn.
In his defense, I was the one who brought it up, and it was just I'm the one who prompted all that. But yeah. I actually want to transition that because, and I had met him a few months prior at he came and spoke. I was still active duty back then. Actually, I just retired.
He's an amazing speaker too.
Yeah,
and give him props. He's one of the best in the biz. He's a great guy.
So he came and talked about mindfulness, and I think just for men, that's such a untapped mindset, untapped market, or just area of life. I told you I've listened to in a couple podcasts, or not a couple, just a lot of podcasts. And there was something you said in one podcast, and you said you talked about the importance of believing in yourself first before you start believing in anything else. Because a lot of times people want to jump the line and believe in something else.
That was actually, and that caused a little controversy. That was on Sean Whalen's podcast. And that was one of the ones where I was talking about. And the issue was with that was for me to become a man of Christ, a believer, I have to believe and be the best version of myself before I can start believing in others. Most people do it, I'm not going to say the wrong way. It's the wrong way for me, the opposite way. They believe in something and they're seeking out, searching that, which I understand, but they don't fully believe in themselves. So I just kind of reverse engineer that. That worked for me. That's a tool that works for me. I do things different than a lot of people. And, you know, it was when I said that to Sean, he kind of took a step back, but he's like, you know what? Everybody has a process and everybody's process works for them. So I was happy with the results. And I was obviously, Sean Whalen is a mentor of mine, very good friend. He's been mentoring me for years. Whether you like him or not, he's good at what he does.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Minus all the bull crap that goes on with the personal lives. He's a very squared away man, and he's a solid. He's solid with his beliefs, and that's what I look for in people. He works out, so he's got all the qualities I like. So it ended up being a really interesting conversation, but that's what worked for me. But I will tell you, I recently was doing my push-ups at church. During the sermons, I was splitting my 1,320 in half because each session is 30 minutes, and the pastor was making me do them. And he said, "Are you a believer?" And I said, "No, sir, but I'm starting to believe." So, there was kind of a gasp over the crowd, but he's like, "I'll take it." Every day, it's one step. I'm chiseling away a little bit more at it with everything I do in my life. I honestly feel that the symbolism of life is you're creating a masterpiece.
Mm.
I don't know what your masterpiece is, and you don't know what mine is, but we're chiseling away at it every day. And that masterpiece changes over time. Things that I used to want and feel that were a must really aren't. As I get older, all the materialistic that I used to want doesn't really matter. What matters is having, solid foundation with your family, your fitness, your finances, and your faith. That's what I focus on. I focus on very few things. The symbolism that I use is I only light so many fires. You see people on social media, one day they're a subject matter expert in this and this and this and this and this. I focus on like four things. And I light four fires. Because if you're running around trying to light too many fires, you're not paying enough attention to the one that needs, starting the fire is the hardest part. So that's just how I look at life, how I analyze things, and what works and what doesn't work for me.
Yeah. So with all that being said, as you reflect back and with your background and everything now in your current mindset, how does vulnerability equal strength?
Oh man, I tell people, I think, and again, when a human, not even because generally speaking, historically, women are more vulnerable than men. We're built very different, men and women. I coach men and women. There's so many similarities, but so many differences in an individual, right? So men, society has deemed it unfit, unsatisfactory for a man to be vulnerable because vulnerability they somehow has been stereotyped as weakness.
Yeah.
A man crying, but that's not what vulnerability is. A vulnerability is accepting faults and mistakes of yourself and openly admitting them to others. It's being able to. I have an abusive childhood. I didn't like to be touched. My wife and kids are usually the only people that I'm comfortable with touching. No one touches my face except my wife unless I'm in jiu-jitsu getting my ass handed to me. It's just how I am. But when I became vulnerable, right? When you start opening up and really just expressing yourself to the people that mean the most in your life, it's actually a true sign of strength. And what it does is it just gives you, for me, it gave me hope. And I try to spread that knowledge to other men. Like you're talking to a guy that I shake hands and tell 90% of people that I know well that I love them. I love you, brother. I was a guy that would never say that. I've openly been upset and cried in front of my wife. Years ago, I would never do that. I would never show any emotion or any pain because as a Navy SEAL, as a CIA operative, and as this, You can't show weakness. But some of the strongest men that I know are the most vulnerable men, and it's case in point in jiu-jitsu. White belts come in, they've got something to prove to the whole world. You get guys that are brown belts and black belts. Every now and then you get an occasional, right? But you get guys in there, they're very humble. I got my handed to me yesterday by a 140-pound black belt. I've slept with women bigger than that, right? I mean, I have, just the truth,
Yeah.
and he was so humble about it. And I'm just like, God, and I'm trying, and he's just staying humble. And what I've noticed is the individuals in life that have that black belt mentality, they allow themselves to be vulnerable because they know who they truly are. They've explored and examined who they are, and they're comfortable with it. And I'm comfortable with sharing things. Like, I will share things with my wife that I would never share with you, right? I had an abusive childhood. Me and my wife did. Talking to counselors doesn't help me. Talking to someone that's been through the same exact as me does. Me and my wife are through the same things. We talk. We are vulnerable. But as I've gotten stronger and vulnerable, the way that I've done that is I've cut a lot of things out of my life too. Case in point, when we were at the softball match, you didn't see me drinking. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke pot. I don't do vape. I don't do the gummies. I don't do any of that. I don't need an artificial high to get me going. You see me drinking something at night, it looks like I'm drinking a mixed drink. I fool everybody. I do a diet, and I put a lemon in there. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, you're not drinking. What's wrong? I mean, we're hanging out with Jim McMahon. He's signing my boob. Right? We're at the thing and having a blast. Jim drinks his beer, and that's Jim. And I love Big Jim, but that's just not me. I've overcome a lot of things, a lot of addictions. And that's why I started doing those push-ups that I started doing about 7, 8 years ago. It was because of my pastor.
Yeah.
Every time you want to sip it, every time you want to on it, I'm not being rude. Every time you want to pop it, every time you want to go chase it, all these bad habits that I had. He goes, drop down and just do push-ups. His name was Pastor Hank. And I said, how many? He goes, till you don't want to do it anymore. Dude, like if this was alcohol in here, he'd say, dude, push-ups till you can't physically pick up that cup again. Because we all get overwhelmed with uncontrollable urges and needs that we have to learn how to name, claim, and tame, right? I can't just say control them, because I tell everybody, the Lord sits here, the devil tugs here, right? Because he wants you to turn around and see what you're missing. The Lord says, look straight, you're not missing anything. I tell people that all the time. My pastor told me that. He goes, when those uncontrollable needs are happening, he's tugging on you. And when you turn around and look, you see the other side where the grass you think is greener, and it's not. He said, drop down and do push-ups until you're not thinking of anything. So you literally, and I mean, that's why I do 1,000 push-ups a day. I do them in increments of whatever my day is. Some people are like, how do you knock them out? It depends on my day.
Yeah.
I started getting a crazy urge right now. During our show, I would literally put this computer on the ground and I would start doing push-ups. I wouldn't care. It's my process. Like, I've done them sitting in the DMV before. I'm just getting antsy. I'm like, I just up. People are like, what the hell are you doing? I just need to knock out 25 push-ups. I get up. People are like, what are you doing, sir? I'm
If
like,
that's what works.
and I actually told, because they have a guard there. I said, listen, I used to have a lot of bad habits when I get these. He's like, hey, man, you got to do it again. Go outside. I'll save your spot. Thank you. Okay.
That's cool. Can I ask you a question about your childhood and your dad? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So, because something that's really stuck with me was you mentioned that sons are reflections of their father. And some people say a son is his father's mirror, not just in how he looks, but how he faces the world. In what ways do you see your father reflected in who you are today, and where do you intentionally try to break that reflection and become something different?
That's good. Well, if you look in the mirror, I'm a spitting image of him. Temperament wise, till I've controlled it, my father was an animal. He was a good man, but he had a very bad temper. He was a very violent man. And I used to be that guy. But the guy that I used to be is where I had to, draw a line in that sand and become the man I am now. My father was a biker, a hellraiser, a womanizer, all the things that I used to be. But I think there comes a point in every man's life, and I'm just speaking of men, when they look in the mirror and they don't like what they see.
Yeah.
Um, this has happened to me a few times in my life. The first time was when I was 17. The other time when I was I'd been married because I thought I was going to lose my wife. I was probably 47 years old. And um, so there are a lot of great qualities I got from my father. Like he was very driven. I'm not going to sit here and just bash my daddy, meaning he was murdered when I was 11. Um, um, he was a family man, but he was a womanizer. He was a boozer, and he had some bad habits. And I think I picked up a lot of those habits subconsciously as a child, watching and seeing and absorbing these types of behaviors, which I thought and which a lot of people think is okay. Case in point, you talk about having kids, right? They say daughters will usually marry a man similar to their father. That was one of the big things. I didn't want my daughter to marry who I was. I wanted to marry who I am now, right? I didn't want my son, who I adopted from my wife's previous marriage, to be the man I was when he first met me. I want him to be the man I am now. And now that I have transformed into not the best, but a better version of me, because I'm always chipping away. We talked about it.
Yeah.
It's radiating off, and they're absorbing it. Like my son is getting his squared away. He was a late bloomer. We'll leave that. My daughter, on the other hand, is an overachiever. She's been straight A's since birth, and she gets it. But everybody has their flaws, and but my daughter gets my stubbornness. She's a very stubborn woman. So yeah, I'm comfortable now with, if my daughter were to marry a man, the version that I am right now, sitting here talking to Martin Foster, I would be happy. If my son wanted to be the exact individual that I am right now, sitting here talking to Martin Foster, yes, I'm happy. If you would have asked me that a year ago, I couldn't have given you that same answer. Right now, yes. But she's not getting married yet, and he's still working. So, maybe we address this in another year or so, and I want to be even a better place than I am right now. Not just from a monetary standpoint, right? I talk about there's 7 forms of pain and 7 forms of growth: physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, financial, and sexual, right? There can be growth in that. Like, case in point, I'll tell you something. One of the most intimate things I've done with my wife in years, I'm not being weird, is in the last 2 days, we have laid down and taken a 15-minute nap together. We've never done that before. Like, I'm always running around. She's always running around. She helps me run the business and doing this. And I was just like, you know what? I was sitting there, and she came and put her head on my side, and we fell asleep. And there's this episode of Friends where Joey and Ross take a nap, and they wake up. It was like the best nap. And we can never talk about it again. And yesterday I said, let's do it again. And when I get off the phone with you today, the reason why I have a hard stop of what I told you is I'm going to take a 10-minute nap with my wife before I conduct business. Like, it is non-negotiable for me, man. Like, that's the thing, is I used to not really draw a line in the sand. I'd be like, yeah, I'll do this podcast at 2:30 and jump on another thing and jump on another thing and jump on another thing, when I was not really applying the attention that I needed to the things that mattered the most. And I'm so late to the game with it, man. So, if anybody's listening to this, what I will tell you is this: I do a reflection drill, and I'm going to talk about this real quick. I look in the mirror, where I take a picture of myself. Whenever I'm doing a speaking event, I make people, hey, take a picture of a real life Navy SEAL, right? I'm better than John McCaskill. And then we'll see what I did there. I make them switch it and take a picture of themselves. And I say, okay, by close of business today, as soon as this is over with, I want you to grade yourself on your family, every avenue of a family: a man, a brother, a husband, a son. Your fitness. Are you physically, mentally, emotionally stable? Like, you look like you're in shape. And I've worked with leaders that are in shape, but when the stress hits the fan, they lose it. That's not the type of person I want to go with. John McCaskill, very calm, cool-headed, in great shape. That's a guy I'll follow in the war, right? Physical, mental, emotional. Are they emotionally sound? And then physical, mental, emotional, social. And then are they socially stable? Like, these are the types of people that I want to surround myself with. You can have, and I always tell everybody, your life resume is the way you look. when I meet you and you met me, I literally judged you on the way you looked.
Yeah.
So you're in shape. You're very sincere when you talk to people. You know, you're passion driven like me. I love that. But then it's like, okay, let's get to know more about you, right? When you first meet somebody, you look at that resume, it's a puddle. It's shallow and narrow versus let's dig a hole. Let's be narrow and deep. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that with and really get to know each other. You do that with your wife, with your friends. You know, when I first met, listen, you're married, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, when you first met your wife, I don't care what you say, you were attracted to her physically. That's the first thing that happened, eyes, butt, whatever it was. If you say you were just walking and you felt this emotional connection, you're foolish. You're foolish.
We met at a club too, so it
Yeah,
was
that's where I met my wife.
yeah, it
I
was
met
at a
my wife at
club.
the club.
So
She
that's the
batted her
moral of the
eyes. I
story.
couldn't even talk to
You
her.
can find love at the club. So
You can. You can. I told my wife the first night that I met her, she was going to be my wife. I knew it. I knew it. That was like, and she was like, "Ah, what a load of crap." So I couldn't even kiss her the first night. I was so scared. And truth be told, my wife was going through a divorce with someone else. I'm not her first husband. And I said, you will be. I knew it. And we have been together 22 years, man.
congratulations.
20 years. Yeah, man. It ain't been easy. She's lucky. You're welcome.
When's your guys'
But that's what,
anniversary? When's your anniversary? Hey everyone, I want to take a quick break from today's episode to talk about the show's sponsor. Are you retiring or separating from the military soon? Looking for an alternative to the Veterans Group Life Insurance, also known as the VGLI? Reach out to Dan Guzman Life Solutions. Dan is a 27-year United States Air Force veteran and retired command chief. After a lifetime of service, Dan's mission is simple: protect yours. As an independent life insurance producer licensed across multiple states, Dan specializes in helping military families find smart, affordable term life alternatives to VGLI and insurance policies that fit your life and budget. If you want coverage that makes sense, reach out today at danguzmanlifesolutions.com. The link for that will be in the show notes. Now back to the episode.
it is July 26th.
My wife and I, our anniversary is in August.
But
Yeah.
we met November 3rd. So
Oh.
that's the anniversary too. So that's the first night we met. But her birthday's in August. My daughter's birthday's in August. And so when is your anniversary?
The 24th of August.
Okay. One's the second, one's the fifth.
Okay.
But seeing if we could go there anywhere with that. But yeah, you know, I like, as I'm sitting here talking to you, I like, I guess as we bring it back to full circle, I said there was a time when a man looks in the mirror or woman, they don't like who they see. I like who I see now. I don't know where the younger me went. A lot of, these grays, they say are a lot of wisdom, but they're also a lot of mistakes. The gray, that's why I don't die. It's like, this tells the story of who I am and what I've become. This isn't just pigment losing its color. This is battle tested and battle proven. That's what this is.
I got to jump in and ask this question then, because this is like just weighing heavily on my heart. And I love it. Like everything you just said. And I think this lays in perfectly to this question. You talk about seeing the reflection in the mirror and the beard telling stories. This ties into a LinkedIn post that you had where you talked about the best way to predict the future is to create it.
That's right.
What would need to happen in 10 years' time and for you to think those 10 years have been a success?
Well, I think first and foremost, I would still be alive. I mean, I know that sounds like a cliche, but not only am I alive, then I'm as healthy as I possibly can be. Right? The foundation of everything I do is based off of belief and fitness. So hopefully by 10 years, what would success look like? I am 100% a believer, 100% a believer. And number two, I would be a 63-year-old absolute savage when it comes to being physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, financially, and sexually powerful. 63, maybe I'm taking an hour nap with my wife. It's the little things that we could do. It's doing what I'm doing now on a whole different frequency, right? That's what success would look like to me.
Nice.
Obviously, being financially set would be key. But it's not just about making, like I said, you can make money and screw people over, or you can make money and do it the right way, you know? Um, and that's a big thing that I talk about is, right now I'm creating a pretty lucrative business doing some credit card processing, some other things that I do gaming, but I have people that work under me. I give them bigger percentages. I call it the art of retention. I pay people more than what they should get because if you do that, you know, they're loyal. I don't give bonuses really because, or have people work off commission because I think that's false reasoning for doing it. It's like, listen, if you love what you do, let's work hard, but I'll pay you a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
I make it less, but then people want to do more for you, I mean, I can call my team on a Sunday and if they don't answer, they'll get right back to me. What do you need? It's just about, making sure that you're taking care of the people around you. I used to be so selfish and only focus on me. I used to work for Bedros Koulian from Fit Body Boot Camp. And during our interview, love B, he was like, I got a question for you. Shoot, financial question. The more you make, fill in the blanks. The more you take. Wrong. So he asked me again. I'll say the same thing. So after about the third time, he's going to say again, I'm like, look, sir, you keep asking me the more I make, I'm going to keep telling you the more I take because I don't know what you want. He goes, the more you make, the more you give. And I'm like, I don't understand that. And he leaned in, Bedros is big and he's kind of like, Grover. They're very polished when they talk. But then when you get the real them, the essence of them, boy, it's still powerful, but it's much rawer version. And he leaned in, he goes, it's because you don't make enough. And I'm like, what? He goes, there will come a time when you're doing things right and you're on the right frequency and the right battle rhythm and you're with the right people and you're going to need to, he goes, you're going to have to go out and buy two things. I'm like, what? He goes, a wheelbarrow and a rake. I'm like, for what? He goes, for all the money that comes in because you're helping so many people. And I said, well, what do I do with it? He's like, how much do you need to live off of? And I told him, he goes, give most of it away. Give more to the church, to charities, buy cars for people.
Yeah.
And that was huge. There's only been really two big pieces of advice that have ever stuck with me. And that was one of them. And the other one was when I finally realized that I had the score to become a Navy SEAL. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but I had to take the ASVAB 3 times to become a Navy SEAL.
I didn't know
First
that.
time I bombed it. You have to have a combined score of like 170 on three different categories. When I went, it was 165. They actually raised the level up 5 points. But the second time I took it and I studied for like 6 months, I took it again. I missed it by 1 point. 1 point collectively. Everybody, my mother, everybody said, give up. It's never going to happen. There was a gentleman, because if anybody takes anything from what we do in this, listen to this right now. There was a gentleman by the name of Wyan Coughlin, and he was watching. He was the one helping facilitate when I was studying and doing stuff. And he was just a quiet observer. And he finally, when I realized I get the score, I'm like in tears, because I just wanted to be a Navy SEAL. There was no plan B. He's like, well, if it doesn't work out, I'm like, then I'm dead. So after my second score came back, he goes, Ray, when are you going to just ask? I said, well, I want to ask for what? He goes, for help. And I said, brother, I don't know how. I don't know how. No one's ever helped me before. I'm not giving you a boohoo story. And he goes, let me help you. And he did. And he said, listen, do as I say, do as I do. And I said, okay. So he enrolled me in classes. So they're talking to a guy that lived off base. I would get up in the morning, 3:30, I'd run in, do the PTs, do all the stuff that I was doing, and then do my job. And then I was going to night courses. And a year goes by later, I'm standing in front of him now. I am now a seaman, an E3, standing in front of him. He's an E6. And I'll never forget this. He's reading something. Look, there's my winning book by Grover. He's reading something, and I'm sitting up and he's looking at me. He goes, how do you think you did? Stay with me here. And I said, I don't know. He goes, well, that's the first mistake, Ray. You don't bet on yourself. You don't believe in yourself. That's why I have this. And then he just puts the paper down and he goes, you passed. And it was dead silence. And I mean, I had, you're talking years of being told you're nothing. 2 years now it's gone by. Yeah, I'm told I'm nothing. I'm never going to make it. Now I have the opportunity. So I'm standing there, right? I'm attention. So I'm trying not to show emotion. I'm shaking. I'm happy. And he goes, is there anything you want to ask me? And I said, yes. And he goes, I know what you want to ask me. You want to ask me what your score was, don't you? I'm like, I sure do. And this is what he says. He leans into me. He goes, Ray, listen, I'm going to give you $1 million piece of advice. Doesn't matter what your score was. It matters what you're going to do right now, from now until the rest of your life, until your life ends, of what you're going to do with that opportunity that you gave and provided to yourself. To this day, I could look and see what those scores are, and I still won't. He came to my graduation. I helped, made sure that he got there. He believed in me. He saw something in me when I was losing sight of who I was. So my point to this is the reason why when someone comes up and talks to me and says, "Hey, will you be on my podcast?" I don't go, "Yeah, let me put you in contact." Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Like, I'm never going to say no to an amazing opportunity, because sometimes when somebody asks you that question, what I see is them standing on the other side of the desk and I'm sitting down. And I remember what it felt like to be up there asking that question or being scared or not knowing what to do. And so I always take the time to help people, because I know what it feels like to be on the other side of that desk, scared shitless, not knowing the outcome. Or, then you start second guessing, did I work hard enough? I know I didn't drink. I know I didn't chase women. I know I didn't do this, but could I have studied more? And then when you get the answer, for someone to be so profound, like, don't worry about your score. Don't worry about. I probably only got a 165, but you know what?
Hey.
Who cares? He might even changed if I don't know. But I went through my SEAL course, Bud's Class 200. 148 of us started. Only 8 original made it.
Wow.
One of them.
What year was this? What year was this?
I graduated. Hold on. Bud's Class 200, August of 1995. I showed up in December. I showed up in November of 1994. I didn't go home for Christmas. We started PTRR right after that, which is a phase before you start first phase. And I graduated August 18th, 1995. There's my, there's my plaque right there. The top one. The second one is STT.
No, that's a great story. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And as far as, like, you talking about giving people a chance or just giving them the time of day, I like to think you agreed to do my podcast because I made sure to comment on your calves first. I was like, man, you sir have a nice set of calves, and I
didn't know where that was going. I'm not gonna lie. No, I'm kidding. I grew up doing roofing. I have big calves. I think I told you that.
I told you that.
I grew up on pitches, so I have really big calves. And what's funny is my wife. That was one of the things that she liked about me too. I'm like, really? Because I'm short. I don't think. But she's like, your calves are enormous. But
I did comment at the hotel gym. I was like, hey man, what are you doing for your calves, man?
Yeah, and I do nothing. I do nothing for them. I spent, from the time I was 15 to I joined the Navy, I was on roofs. I started climbing. I started on the ground, and I started carrying shingles up ladders because I wasn't old enough to get up and on the roof. I would just set them there, and there'd be a guy.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I went from that to different things, to like being an apprentice, to then doing tear offs and helping. Then I started being the guy that did all this, putting the shingles on. To I ran tear off crews, which you weren't up on the roof as much, because I knew it. I didn't want to be a guy that I had a guy that was like 28 years old. I thought was the coolest guy in the world, but he lived with his mom, and I was like, they were doing, in that world, there's a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
And, back then I did a lot of that stuff, and I just knew that wasn't for me. So I talked to my boss and said, I'd like to try to switch and get more into a manager type role. And I'm a 17-year-old kid in charge of like 28, 29-year-old guys, but they respected me because they knew I started from the ground, and they knew that I just didn't want to do that. So I worked my way all the way up. They could have did it too, but more money doing what they were doing. But that was for the lifestyle that they lived, and I didn't want that. I originally thought I was going to be higher up in that company, and I would have done very well, but I knew I had a different calling, a higher purpose in life, and I found it.
That's awesome. I know I kind of threw you for a loop, but no, I appreciate it with how open you are. I know I'm trying. I know we're kind of wrapping up because I see the time. A final few questions. One is I want to
Yeah,
do
sure.
what I call the name game. So I'm just gonna. And this is these are meant to be fun, miscellaneous questions. I want to say a name, so just provide a word or maybe a sentence about that person whenever you hear their name. The first one is LL Cool J.
Humble human being. Todd Smith is one of the most humble people I've ever met in my life. And he's in shape. I recently put him through one of my beach PTs. He showed up. He didn't need to. Um, and he put out, man.
That's awesome.
And he's 57. That guy is in, I mean, he took his shirt off. I almost put my shirt back on. Like he is put together. Like that guy works hard.
That's great. Um, the next name is these are names I already had before you started telling some of the stories earlier. The next name is Tim Grover, who I'm a big fan of.
OG of Mentor. He is, he has gotten in my. Tim Grover is the guy that doesn't talk you away from the ledge. He talks you to the ledge. When you're doubting yourself, when you're like, I mean, there's been times when he's been like, hey, you're Ray Cash Care, act accordingly. I mean, he has put me in my place. And the only thing you say to that when, and again, I don't call Tim too often. You just say, yes, sir.
Yeah.
He's that guy. Like, no military background. When you're around him, he commands respect. He gives it, but he only gives it to you if you're earning it from him. And for some reason, I still this day I still don't know. He likes me, like not just from a business standpoint. He actually likes me. He calls me, checks in on me. I check in on him. He's an amazing human being.
Yeah, I just read Relentless late last year, one of his books, but
that ain't an act, man. That's him.
Yeah.
He is always on. He is never off.
Yeah, just another dream guest. All right, last couple names. Tom Hanks.
Hell of an actor. Fan of Grease. He loves everything about Grease. And I still have to apologize to Tom because my daughter kicked him in the shins when he did the voice of Woody at our house. You're not Woody. But he's a good guy. Tim, I'm good friends with Tom, and I know his son Chet very well. I talk to Chet a lot. So
yeah,
very good dude. I make it a rule with actors. I never talk politics. We just talk about life. So I don't know which end of the spectrums he's on, but he was when we worked together. He was a huge advocate of the military.
Yep.
He came to the house and ate with his bodyguard. Super nice guy. And I call him tapeworm. He's always eating. I don't know why he eats all the time. It's weird, constantly eating. Like, and I know he's been fighting. He's a diabetic too. So, I don't know, but what a great guy. Super nice guy. Funny as hell. Amazing actor. When he gets into character, dude.
Yeah.
It's frightening.
Yeah.
Because he is just like, and then he like snaps out of it. You're like, holy shit.
What happened? I was out.
Yeah.
Last two names. Bradley.
Sophisticated savage.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, Brad is Brad knows when to be the Brad Lee, and then Brad is also a savage, man. He's really dialed in his nutrition, dialed in his, he's just a solid dude. I was on Dropping Bombs back in the day, man. We met back in we did an event together when I was new to speaking. And when I heard him I was just like, this is what I want to do. Cause that guy can speak, and he's the founder of Lightspeed. He's like a gazillionaire.
Yeah.
Pretty humble. He's cool. He's got a kind of way he talks, kind of.
That's a good impression. That's a good impression.
But he's another one. When you call, he'll pick up, which he doesn't have to, and he does.
He gave me his cell phone number at the softball game.
Yeah,
and I was like, man, I don't feel right calling him, and
you should call him and say, get on my podcast, and he will. He's that guy.
Yeah,
that's what I love about him. He's worth I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars, but when he shows up, he's just, hey, I'm Brad. And his wife, his wife's super cool. I know they were bidding on a bunch of stuff. They probably spent God knows how much money there, but it was for a good cause.
Yeah,
He didn't have to go to that
he
event. He
didn't.
wanted to.
Yeah.
No,
Speak.
love him. Who else you got?
Last and certainly not least, no name, just two initials, TK.
The mayor of Texas, man, that silver tongued devil. TK has got a heart of gold. Probably one of the most genuine people I've ever met. And, I'm in the world of connections. He knows everybody in that space it's because he's such a giving soul. I'll talk a little bit more about TK. Hell of a family, man. He married way out of his coverage because I know his old lady. She's gorgeous. I don't know how he did it. Half the time I think I look at some of these wives and I'm like, did you drug them? What did you do? But yeah, another guy. All the names you're asking, I ain't got a bad thing to say about any of them. Just great human beings, both when I say on and off the field, meaning like, when they're in the spotlight and they're just, who they are is who they are. They're not like, hey, this is Ray Cash Care. And then when I'm here, I'm like, don't bother me. Like they're always welcoming. Brad Lee will stop and talk to anybody. Everybody wants to sell him something. He's like, stop. But he'll listen, and he's got great kids, and all the guys are, most of the people that you said, they're all family men. They all have children. I'm trying to think, of all the names you said. Hell, a couple of them are grandfathers, so
Yeah.
great men. I don't think you could have picked a better lineup.
So I was very strategic just based on, and I do this often in podcasts. I'll throw names.
And you can actually, if you post this, we can tag them and they can see that we're saying good things about them. And who knows, maybe you'll get them on your podcast.
I'll bleep random words though to make it seem like, instead of saying that, when you said I think they're a great guy, it'll say I think they are bleep guy or something.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah. And then they'll call me. What did you say? Grover would do that. What did you say? Like I'm like, whoa, Mr. Grover.
Where does he live? Does he live in Chicago? Yeah. So I'm in Dayton, like 4 hours. He's a dream guest. I would drive to Chicago. I even thought about trying to get you in person, but it seems like you travel a lot, so I wasn't sure how that would have worked.
I would have come.
But because I want to start doing more in-person interviews where I go to cities like Chicago or, there's there's a ton of people in Dallas. There's a few people in Vegas that I follow, and
well, if you want any other SEALs, you let me know. I can help with have you had Redmond on?
No, Jason Redmond. No, and he's someone I'd love to have on. And I've seen him on the podcast circuit, and I just haven't reached out to him. But I'd love to have him on. Yeah, if you're able to. That's up to you. I don't want to.
All you have to do with the SEALs is say you had Ray Cash Care on, and they were the greatest SEAL that you had. Every one of them will get on and say, "I'm better." Rob O'Neill, all of them, Latrell. If you can get all of them, they'll be like, "I'm better than him." Well, prove it.
Yeah, I really want to start doing more in person, just because I feel, as best possible and logistics.
Jason lives 11 minutes away from me.
Who does?
Redmond.
No kidding.
Yeah, maybe 15 depending on traffic, but yeah, right. He actually lives that way.
Because you're
from me. Yep.
You're in Virginia, right?
Virginia Beach. Yeah, he's in Chesapeake. I'm in Virginia Beach.
Wow.
I'm right on the border. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that would. Yeah. He'd be awesome. Like I'd for sure love to have him on. And
well, I'll hit him up. Just afterwards, send me. I think I have your number. Send me your number, and I'll do an intro with you guys.
I appreciate that. No, and there's so many people. So TK is actually, we're texting earlier right before we jumped on. I was going to try to schedule with him before he's about to go on. He's about to go on a trip somewhere. So I was like, well, I don't want to rush try to rush everything. So we'll just do it when you get back. And when he gets back in January, he's going to be on my podcast.
And if you do get Jason Redmond on, the first question you have to ask him was, how awesome was it going through SEAL training with Ray Cash Care? Because we were in the same Buds class. And is it true Ray carried you through SEAL training? And Jason will tell you he owes it all to me. And then if I get Rob O'Neill on there, he will tell you how I'm the one who I shot Osama bin Laden. Guys, if you're just watching that was a joke. It was a joke.
No, I'd love to have those guys on. I mean, any of those guys I'd be thankful for. And Johnny Kim's someone I've been trying to get for years. I really just want to have him on so I can tell him dude, you can't keep a job. Like
Who?
Johnny Kim, he was a
Oh,
yeah.
oh yeah, I know. I don't know Johnny Kim very well. I know Michael Cassidy though, who's another astronaut,
Oh, that'd be I'd be real interested in Michael Cassidy. Like, yeah,
and McCaskill should be able to help you with that too.
I don't know John super well. I mean, I haven't like he was on my podcast 4 years ago. There might have been like a Facebook or he's real big on LinkedIn. I could
I'll write him. I'll write him and tell him I was just on. Let me see if I have his number. I'll take a picture of us to see.
yeah, I don't know if he might remember me, but he came to speak at the unit I was a part of. He was the guest speaker at an event in Colorado back in 2021. You know, when he was on my podcast, he has like in terms of like growth and popularity has just blown up since then. Yeah. Last question I end every podcast with is if there's a giant billboard with your picture on it for the world to see, what would you want your leadership message to say? And where would you want that billboard to be?
Ooh. I put out a message, my message. Ooh, comfort is the most dangerous drug is what my mission statement would be. It means don't be comfortable, think out of the box. And where would I put it? Ooh, if I could only put it in one place? I put it in Disney World. Because I want all the kids to see it.
That's good. I like that.
The one in Florida. I would put it there.
Yeah.
I would want my sign right there so everybody would see it. Comfort is the most dangerous drug.
That's good.
Just because too many people are comfortable. And then underneath there might be a little sub writing, which means, get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's all it means.
So that's really hitting home with me because November 1st was my effective retirement date. And I've not applied for any jobs because I'm want to see what I can do more with this podcast. So I'm very uncomfortable. Yeah. It's a gamble, but it's just like I have to do this. And
that's where the greatest growth comes from when you're back in the corner. So yeah, I mean, same way. I lost a job in July. I'm making an extra $15,000 more a month than I was then.
Yeah.
I was comfortable in that job. I wasn't my full potential. And in 2026, I mean, we're hitting decent seven figures.
Man.
And I'm not even a college graduate. It's just the art of showing up every day, commit to stay consistent. And I network, I have people that are making money under me doing what I do.
But you're relentless though too. I mean, it's like Tim Grover's book, like relentless.
I have connections.
Yep.
If you know people, there is so much money to be made, especially if you have a good reputation.
Yeah. Ray, what can I do for you? How can I best serve you?
Just when you get this podcast done, make sure you tag me in it and we can collaborate so we can get this message out. Other than that, maybe I'll see you next year. Maybe I won't. Other than that, I think you have my number, don't you?
I do. We exchanged numbers. I have your number. Yeah.
Check in. Sometimes I tell people some of the greatest gift you can do is just check in on someone and want nothing in return.
Yeah.
How are you? That's how you, how are you doing? Thinking about you.
I hand wrote 2 letters this week to two separate people. I hand wrote 2 letters.
It's sometimes the smallest gestures have the biggest impact,
Man.
So, because you never know who's hurting or who's struggling.
Yeah. Ray, I can't tell you how much this means to me. Again, I look up to you in so many different areas, and man, just want to end it by saying the same thing I started with. Thank you for being kind. I'm so grateful.
I appreciate you, brother. Well, listen, I'm here if you ever need anything, and God bless. Okay.
All right.